Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm here to do the Just for Today NA meditation with you for May the 28th. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. H.O.O.D is an acronym, H-O-O-D, that stands for Hope Offered on Demand. If you'd like to reach me, please contact me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's get into our Just for Today. Let me share that screen with you and read it to you. Hopefully you may have had a chance to already do it. It's already in the afternoon, but hopefully if you've read it, you're ready to go back over it and synthesize it. Okay, so May 28th, as we understand, we examined our lives and discovered who we really are. To be truly humble is to accept and honestly try to be ourselves. Basic text, page 36. As using addicts, the demands of our disease determined our personality. We could be whoever or whatever we needed to be in order to get our fix. We were survival machines, adapting easily to every circumstance of the using life. Once we began our recovery, we entered a new and different life. Many of us had no idea what behavior was appropriate for us in any given situation. Some of us didn't know how to talk to people, how to dress, or how to behave in public. We couldn't be ourselves because we didn't know who we were anymore. The 12 steps gives us a simple method for finding out who we really are. We uncover our assets and our defects, the things we like about ourselves and the things we're not so thrilled about. Let me reread that. The 12 steps gives us a simple method for finding out who we really are. We uncover our assets and our defects, the things we like about ourselves and the things we're not so thrilled about. Through the healing power of the 12 steps, we begin to understand that we are individuals created to be who we are by the higher power of our understanding. The real healing begins when we understand that if our higher power created us this way, it must be okay to be who we really are. Just for today, by working the steps, I can experience the freedom to be myself, the person my higher power intended me to be. Excuse me. Yes, that's a beautiful Just for Today in a meditation. And I like that as we understand. And I think that the thought of coming to a point in one's life where you understand that who you are is who you are, excuse me, that it's contradictory or self-damaging to continue to try and play this role of being the master actress or actor, right? The lead actress or actor, the one that can play any part. And because they play all parts very well, right? They get chosen to lead the main part. And so that analogy is that we adapted in our active using, right? Our active disease of addiction. We adapted so easily to every circumstance. Now, granted, there's some that were harder to adapt to than others, but if you've ever been in the atmosphere of a bunch of using people, you understand who you need to get next to, who you need to stay close to, and who you need to watch. You understand how to get the drug, what you need to do to get the drug, and how to make sure that you are always the first one to get what you want. And that is because we are adapted to that lifestyle. So it behooves us to understand that when we get clean, we have worn so many different masks. We have been so many different people that it's very difficult to start uncovering our true selves. Okay, let me give you a for instance. Let MightyStream just take you through my own journey. My own journey, let's see, my own journey where I was able to get what I wanted and use what I wanted when I wanted came at the age of 16. Now, had I had anything else before the age of 16? Probably. But for me, drugs and sex went together. Now I'm 16 and I'm with a 37-year-old man who is a, let's say a drug dealer. Okay, in today's society, he probably would not be considered a drug dealer, but at that time in the 80s, he was considered to be a big drug dealer. Okay, so I'm with this grown man as a young girl in high school, and I understand that there's certain drugs that he uses and there's certain drugs that he sells. And at some point in time, he started mixing them and selling them. And that's kind of when I think things went downhill for him. But now, mind you, I'm underage. I can't go buy anything on my own, but I'm with someone that supplies the whole neighborhood. So anything that I want, I can get from him. And so I go into my introduction of how to do it just right, how to be just right in order to get what I want. Okay. I felt and learned early that if I let him do whatever he wanted with my body, that I could get whatever I wanted. And not all the time was it something to use. Some of the time it was just I wanted a gold necklace, I wanted some more jewelry, right? I wanted a certain Nike outfit, Nike shoes. There were certain things that were material in nature besides just using drugs that I wanted. And I became a willing participant, even though I was young and he was wrong for it. I was consensual in the sense that I understood what I wanted and what I needed to do to get what I wanted. Okay, it definitely falls under the understanding or definition of abuse. Okay, but at that time in my life, I thought I was grown. I thought that I could do what I wanted and get what I wanted. And to hear me tell it, I was using him to get exactly what I wanted, right? Now, fast forward to a recovering individual. So I got into the program of Narcotics Anonymous about, I want to say right around 24, 25 years of age. So as I'm coming into the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I've been a married woman. And that was nothing to shout home about because I still had a misunderstanding about what intimacy really was. Okay. But all of my understanding about sex and what to do and how to get what I wanted came from that one particular interaction with that older man. And he was very authoritative. So as I'm growing into an individual in recovery, I'm still not understanding that I can still say no, or I can say no. Let's not say still say no. I can now say no and mean it. I don't have to let any old individual approaching me from a sex tip get what they want. I can tell them I'm not interested in you. I don't want to be with you. If I'm feeling really, really brave, I can even say I'm a married woman, right? So it took me some time to understand that I didn't have to be on my back. to get the things that I wanted. The things that were meant for me were going to come to me because I stayed in the alignment of the relationship with my higher power who provides all my needs. It took some time for me to get to that understanding. Did I get it right away? Absolutely not. I've said here many times, probably not the first 10 years, but at least the first 6 to 8 years. You would not been able to look at my life other than the fact that I was no longer high and say that I was in recovery. I was very foul, very foul. And so what happens, I believe, is that when you understand who you really are, right? Because the reading says when you come to understand that the way that your higher power created you is it's gotta be okay to be who you are because that's how you were created. I like that. I'm feeling that. I'm vibing with that. But I feel like that is just very surface. That's very surface. I mean, to get down into the depth of that statement, one would have to be able to admit that at some point in time, they stopped being who they really were and went over into this other identity because that identity served them better. And then because of getting clean and getting into recovery, there is this open window or open door that begins to allow you to understand that you no longer have to live the way that you've been living. But to think that you know who you really are when you finally get clean, no, I beg to differ. It was a process. And as it says here, if I go back to it, as it says, through the steps, right? Through the steps, it actually says through the healing power of the 12 steps, we begin to understand that we are individuals created to be who we are by the higher power of our understanding, right? And then it talks about how the real healing can begin when we understand that if our higher power created us this way, then it must be okay to be who we are. That is a process. There are many, many people that come into the program of Narcotics Anonymous and they do what I did those first 6 to 8 years, right? Scared to do the work or doing some semblance of it, but not really getting even through a 4th step, 5th step, never really identifying character defects. Right? I know people that have done quite well since they've been in the program and have been clean. And just on the self-will tip, they have been able to do some very marvelous things. I know some top executives now. And when they got to the program, they used the program just to get clean, and then they pursued their education and they got involved in all these other things, right? But at the end of the day, if you had to have a conversation with them and say to them, tell me about your 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th step work. They've never had a one-on-one with anyone identifying any of their liabilities or their assets. They've never had an opportunity to disclose that to another person and the exact nature of their own wrongs. They've never had an opportunity to make a list or to become entirely ready, step 6, right? And then, right, in step 7, asking God humbly to remove their shortcomings. They've never had any of that. And they seem to be doing very well. But the truth of it is that if you don't have an ideal of how you got to where you're at, it's going to be very complicated for you to determine as things come up and they resemble those old situations, old people and places, how you are going to behave differently. Some of the things that are character defects for people, a lot of people consider to be survival skills, meaning they learn how to take these certain traits that they have and manipulate them and work them so that things work out in their favor instead of against them. We all have that because we've all been down that road. But to get to who you are created as, and to bring that individual forward, right? It takes some work. And that's not knocking progress at all. I'm just saying if a person can go so far in life with as little as they have worked with, how much further will they be able to go in life? I know this lady, she let's say she makes about 60, 75, 60, depends on what she's doing with each client, but she makes probably, you know, in the $65 to $75 an hour range. And she only has 1 day a week that she doesn't work. So she's clocking 8 to 10 hours a day. And her house looks like a mini mansion. It's just amazing. She drives the best that can be driven, right? However, though she be clean, though she had an introduction to Narcotics Anonymous, the conversation can never go too far into dealing with emotions. She's not ready for that. So there's a lot of us that we think good on our feet. That's who we've always been. But we are doing or have come to do something by happenstance, or well, you know, I have a felony, so I can't do this, so I might as well do that. Okay, but who were you created to be, and what were you created to do? Who were you before you got your first high, that first injury from another human being? Who were you? What trajectory was your life on if none of those things had happened? Tell me about that person. And then we can start dialoguing about how to get you back to that. And one of the wheels that I believe God has given me that is not broken, so why fix it, is the program of Narcotics Anonymous and its 12 steps and 12 traditions. The 12 traditions help the group, and the 12 steps helps the individual to be a productive member of society. And so I just want to challenge you today, if you're still one of those people on the sidelines, you love everything about recovery except for the step work, I want to encourage you to find yourself a sponsor and to roll up your sleeves and get busy. Because if you can do all of this that you've done, as beautiful as it is, how much more can you do having cleared out the clutter of the past and developing these healthier traits, right? And making amends, not always having to wear, something on your shoulder in the sense of not arrogance, but just unresolved. Like, you see people that that you harmed, but you don't have the ability to even look at them or acknowledge them or even pretend that they're even, you pretend they're nothing so that you can avoid having to encounter the harm that you've caused them. Well, Narcotics Anonymous gives you that 8th and 9th step. It allows you to be able to make a bridge over troubled water in a way that's healthy so that you don't have to duck, hide, shame. You don't have to do any of that with anyone. I want to encourage you today to do just that. My name is MightyStream. We've talked about a lot, probably more than I initially thought that I was going to talk about, but it's still been good. And I'm not going to knock it. I am going to let you go though, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.